This is for Algebra 1. It is graphing inequalities. When you're graphing inequalities, the first step is to get y by itself. You're going to plot your first point using your y-intercept. Remember, this is either an up or down move. You'll plot your second point using the slope. Remember, it takes 2 moves to get your second point. You'll either go up and right or down and right. Then you're going to draw your line. This is where something's new. If it has a line under it, you will draw a solid line. If it does not have a line under the symbol, you will have a dashed line. Then you're going to shade your graph. Once again, this is something new. If it points away from the y, like it does in these two, you'll shade above. If it points to the y, like it does in these, you'll shade below. If you end up with just y equal a number, or y is greater than or less than a number, it's horizontal line. If you only have an x, it's a vertical line. So y is less than 4. We only have a y, so we go to where y is 4 and we make a point. This line is going to be dashed because it didn't have a line under there. And we're going to shade below because it's pointing to the y. So we only have a y, that means it's horizontal line. So we draw a dashed line and we shade below. You look after the x, there is no number by itself, so my first point goes at the origin. My slope needs to be over 1, so I'm going to go up 3 and over 1. This is also a dashed line. Once again, it's dashed because there is not anything under the symbol. It is pointing away from the y, therefore I shade above. If I'm not sure which way is above, I put my pin on the line and I go up. Here's the above. This one we have to get y by itself first, so we're going to start by moving the 2x. Negative 3y is less than or equal to 6 minus 2x. Everything gets divided by negative 3. Remember, when you're dividing an inequality by negative, you have to flip the symbol, so now it points the other way. 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2 plus 2/3 x. This is my first point, so I'm going to go down 2. This is my slope, so I'm going to go up 2 and over 3 to the right. It is solid because it had a line, and it points away from y, so I shade above. Y is by itself. This is a backwards problem because y is on the right, but it's still good to go. This is your first point because that's the number without a letter. So go up 2. My slope is negative 5 over 1, so I go down 5 and over 1. This is a solid line, and it's pointing to the y, so I shade below. Got to get y by itself, so we move the x. Negative y is greater than or equal to 1 minus x. Change all of your signs, including your symbol. Y is less than or equal to negative 1 plus x. Negative 1 is your first point. Your slope is 1 over 1, so you go up 1 to the right 1. It is solid, points to the y, so you shade below. There is no constant, so it's at the origin. My slope is negative 1 over 1, so I go down 1 to the right 1. It is dashed because there's not a line under the symbol, and it points to the y, so it's below. By the way, if at some point you're graphing and you accidentally make a solid line when you meant to make a dashed, if you'll just write dashed out to the side, I'll figure it out, no worries. Okay, this one they've given us the graph, and we have to figure out what the equation is. Start by figuring out, is it solid or dashed? It is solid. Did they shade above or below? They shaded above. That tells me that it is going to point away, and it's going to have a line. Now go find your y-intercept, which is right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it was a positive, so plus 6 at the end. You got to have an x here. Your slope, go find another good point. We went up 1 and to the right 1, so that's like 1 over 1. Of course, I prefer not to have it written 1 over 1. Y is greater than or equal to x plus 6. This one is dashed and above, so that means it is y is greater than. It's got to point away, and it does not have a line. Here's my y-intercept, so plus 5 at the end. Find a good point. Make a right triangle. Looks like it's up 1 over 1 also, so y is equal to x. Y is greater than x plus 5. Looking at this one, it is dashed and it is shaded above. That means you're going to start out with y is greater than. Find your y-intercept. Looks like we went down 2, so minus 2. Find another good point. Looks like we went up 3 and over 2, so 3/2 x. It's kind of hard to tell the points on this graph, so if yours looks different, go with what you've got. This line does not cross the x and the y. This means that you will not have an x and a y in your answer. Figure out which one it crosses. It actually crosses the x-axis, so it's going to be x. They shaded away to the right, to the bigger numbers, so it's greater than. It looks to me like it's probably solid, so it gets a line under it. Figure out where it crossed the x-axis. -5. X is greater than or equal to -5. Anytime it only crosses one axis, it will only have one letter in the inequality. It will be the same letter as that of the axis that it crosses. If you're talking with x, you will shade the direction that the arrow points. I can't tell really good. It looks to me like this is probably solid, and they shaded below. So that means it is y is less than or equal to. You're going to have to find your y-intercept, which is this point up here. 6, so you got plus 6 at the end because it was up. Find 2 good points. Do your rise over your run. And so 1 over 1 is 1. Y is less than or equal to x plus 6. This is a dashed line. They shaded above. Means you're going to start out with y is greater than. There's no line because it's dashed. Your y-intercept is a -5, so you have -5 at the end. Find 2 good points. Looks like we went over 1, down 1. So that would be a -x. Y is greater than -x minus 5. This takes you to the assignment. This was graphing inequalities. Come find me during speed if you have questions. Looking at number 7, you notice that it is a solid line and that they have shaded down here, which is below. So you know it's going to start out y is less than or equal to. You want to pick 2 points. So we have 2, 0 and 0, 4. We'll take those 2 points to our calculator, to stat. And remember, you only use clear to clear all the numbers out of stat. If you use delete, you're going to lose the entire list, and that's not good. So we're going to have 0 and 2 for our x values in L1, and then we're going to have 4 and 0 in our y values for L2. Back to stat, over to calc. Number 4, you're going to have to go down and highlight calculate and then press enter. And so we know that a is -2, b is 4. Ignore the r squared and the r that shows up on mine. It doesn't affect you. So y is equal to -2x plus 4. So -2x plus 4 is our inequality. Number 8, we notice that it is dashed. We have shaded below. So we know it's going to start out y is less than. We have a point at 0, 4 and a point at 8, 0. So back to stat, and we're going to have 0 and 8 for our x values. Let me redo that. We're going to have 0 and 8 for our x values. We're going to have 4 and 0 for the y values. Stat, calc, 4 for linear regression. Go down to calculate, press enter, and we're going to have -0.5x plus 4. -0.5x plus 4, and that'll be your answer. Okay, this one is a solid line.
And if you put your pencil on it and go up, you get to where it is shaded, so it was above. And this means that it is going to be y is greater than or equal to. 0, 2 would be a good point, and -1, 0 would be a good point. So back to stat. Go to edit, and we're going to have 0 and -1 for our x values. And we're going to have 2 and 0 for our y values. Stat, calc, 4 for linear regression, go down to calculate, press enter, and 2x plus 2 is going to be your answer. Okay, so that should be all of your notes, and you should be ready for your assignment. Call me over if you have any questions.